Hello and welcome. You're watching Big Picture with me, Vishal Dahiya, and today we're going to talk about India and Netherlands bilateral relationship. So let's begin the discussion and try and understand, the various aspects of the bilateral cooperation between these two nations and its significance as well. And for more on this, we're joined by two distinguished experts. Let me introduce them to you, beginning with Mr. Ashok Sajjanhar, former ambassador. Also, we have with us Dr.Sreeram Chaulia, foreign affairs expert. Welcome, both of you gentlemen. Chaulia, I'd like to bring you in here, and there are quite a number of issues which were discussed between the two leaders in this virtual summit, and there have been various other aspects of the relationship which have been discussed from time to time in those high-level visits which Mr. Sajjanhar was mentioning. But what are the key focus areas when we talk about India-Netherlands relationship?
So first of all, it's the economy, and that's an obvious reason because, the Netherlands is a commercial nation historically, and it continues to be quite outgoing in terms of business opportunities. In fact, it's a marvel that a small country like Netherlands, just 17 million people in the north of Europe, not a big heavyweight in Europe compared to Germany or France, but, it is the third largest investor in India. It's just behind Mauritius and Singapore, and ahead of US and even Japan in FDI in India. So it's remarkable that they have been able to concentrate their business strategy. They say that, Indo-Pacific, Asia is now the growth hub in the world. The economic levers have moved away from Atlantic, and they want to focus an India-centric approach. Their companies, like Ambassador Sajjanhar is mentioning, are all over, more than 200 companies in India. And in fact, Prime Minister Mark Rutte thanked Prime Minister Narendra Modi for taking care of Dutch investors and Dutch businesses during the pandemic, and to ensure there are big names like Philips, Shell, Unilever, KLM, Rabobank. These are all well-known household names in India. That means that they are innovators, they're really pioneers. In fact, the Netherlands, for our audience, we sometimes underestimate small countries. Netherlands is number one in Europe in competitiveness, even ahead of the Germans, And there's another interesting stat that they are number 4 in the world in innovation rankings. So that element is there, technology, innovation. Prime Minister wants to tap in their expertise for water management. You mentioned that there's agriculture, there's health, anti-flooding, irrigation, high-yielding seeds, you name it. Even smart cities, make in India, all these areas which are key for India's development. Netherlands is a big partner. It's a small country, but a big partner, and therefore we are valuing it so much. And secondly, there is a strategic element also. Like you mentioned, there's the Indo-Pacific, and Netherlands is taking the lead in this. It's much more proactive on bringing its navy into the Indo-Pacific to support, already behind France, which is, of course, the leader in that field, which is now already coordinating with India with Quad for joint exercises and to enlarge Quad and to create a broader, balance in Asia, in the Indo-Pacific. And Netherlands, I think, is also a leader of Europe, even though it's, as I said, it's not a heavy hitter in terms of size, but influential. So, when we have India-EU summit coming up next, Mark Rutte was especially mentioning that we are going to champion India's cause, and we are going to push forward India's interest in the European Union at large. So if you take that institutional context, Netherlands is very important. And, as I said, let's not underestimate it.
Let's look at some specific issues now, and, which are the outcome of this virtual summit as well. There is an agreement on instituting a strategic partnership on water. Now, what we want to understand here, and I'd like to start with you, Dr. Chaulia, is the rationale behind having this focus on water management or the strategic partnership on water with Netherlands.
Well, they have expertise. You see, anti-flooding, for example, because this is the waterborne. Part of the Netherlands faces the sea. They have been historically very good at damming, setting up dikes and managing floods. So that's one area where they're very good. And the other thing is, with irrigation and with seeds and high-yielding varieties, how to utilize existing water resources. So like Israel, they are actually pioneers in this field. So there are some, small countries in some parts of the world which have got extraordinary knowledge and capabilities in this field. So I think Prime Minister Modi, especially with European countries, there is a strategic dimension, but usually because the distance, they're far away, the developmental aspect is stronger. And I think that's where Netherlands, he looks up to Netherlands, very much. And that's why there's been, Ambassador Sajjan was mentioning all the summit meetings that have been happening regularly. And I think their companies, they have been coming in very large numbers, and they're looking at India as a big opportunity, for them. And they want to manufacture many things here with relation to water purification systems and such things. So health, they are calling it WAH, water, agriculture, and health. These are the areas where they feel they have a niche and where they feel, they can outcompete any other player in the Indian market. And they also want to see the EU as a whole has been investing in Indo-Pacific. If you take total EU investment in Indo-Pacific is more than almost 90 to $100 billion. Right. So so Prime Minister Modi talked about how Netherlands, India must work for Indo-Pacific resilient supply chains. Now, there also, you see, there is a flooding issue and there is a rising sea levels. Netherlands is a pioneer in how to combat climate change also. They are leaders in that area. So these kind of areas, they will want to transfer technology to us or to sell it at a low cost to us. And then broader Indo-Pacific, they want to partner with us on climate change mitigation. For example, you look at a country like Maldives, you look at Mauritius. These are countries that require, these small island nations require assistance on how to prevent rising sea levels from submerging them completely, And this is where if we can triangulate our partners in Indo-Pacific plus European technology and know-how, that's how we can be net providers of prosperity and security in our region. I think that is the overall. And the agreements are going to try and work towards implementing that bigger picture.
Okay. Dr. Chaulia, you want to add something there, but I'd like to also, add a concluding question on the issues which are real importance. And we can also specifically focus on digital governance in space as well there.
Well, there's one more element I wanted to mention, Vishal, which binds the two countries very closely. That's our diaspora. I mean, in the European continent, apart from the UK, Netherlands hosts the largest people of Indian origin. They have a very large community from Suriname, which is of Indian origin, and then people from our own country who have recently migrated. There are more than 25,000 Indians, especially in IT sector, who have made Amsterdam metropolitan area their base. And from there, they cover all the Benelux countries, Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg. Many of our big IT companies like Wipro, Infosys and all, they've got headquarters there, and they operate in the whole continent. And what Netherlands is trying to do, like other European countries, is after Brexit, they're saying that you use us as a gateway to the rest of the EU market. Because Netherlands alone is very small, just 17 million people. But if you take the whole EU, then we have 400 million or more consumers, right, for our products. So for our exports to also grow, Netherlands, they are trying to entice us more to headquarter there and to use the excellent infrastructure in Amsterdam area and Rotterdam, such kinds of places to spread out. So digital governance, that's an area our IT firms are really doing very well there. And they have huge presence there, and from which they are able to sell our services, IT-enabled services in the whole continent. That is where there's a lot of growth, and vice versa. Like their companies are extraordinary, and they'll help us in achieving our goal of greater financial inclusion, connecting to mobile telephony, and all these things. So they've got the as I said, the expertise and the know-how, and it's a two-way process because we are also investing and creating jobs there. So in that sense, we are not like a developing country that's going there and asking them for aid or something like that. The Europeans have a different approach to least developed country. But in the case of India, it's becoming more and more like equals. And as I said, the Europeans are moving in the Indo-Pacific because they're more and more worried about human rights and lack of democracy in China and the way China is trampling over small countries in the region. So Europeans want to be present there. France is the number one player, definitely. As Ambassador was saying, Netherlands and Germany are now coming along. So we will hope that they come in a larger numbers and change the balance here in the Indo-Pacific, and we welcome them.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sajjan as well as Dr. Chaulia, for sharing your views with us and our viewers there on this aspect of India Netherlands relationship. We'll come back again with a different topic. Till then, keep watching. Thank you.